the African who moved to Scottsdale Productions, courtesy of UKTV. And I thank you.
Thank you.
So does anybody have any questions?
Q&A?
Yesenia, do you have questions for me?
I do. What are your books about?
How to Pause for Life's Purpose is the one. It's a guide to self-emancipation, peace, and growth. And my pseudonym is Austin Taylor, so I write as Austin Taylor. This has a lot of prayers in it because I believe in God and I believe in prayers. And this one is how to stay in a happy relationship or end an abusive one. It's a step-by-step guide. It's like a DIY from Home Depot kind of thing. But I'm the Home Depot writing about relationships. It's a very useful resource guide. These three, 1, 2, 3, are my fiction books. This is creative fiction. It's called Avalanche of the Shackles.
What does that mean exactly?
Avalanche of the Shackles is just a title. It's a sequel to The Shackles of Oruku Threads.
Okay.
In The Shackles of Oruku Threads, I actually went to West Africa. Oruku is a village where my ancestors came from. And I covered the story in 4 years. The story is about the caste system. It's called social stratification. In other words, certain groups, certain classes of people feel that they are superior to others. So this was my way of saying, no, that should not happen. The caste system is nothing but discrimination, and we shouldn't allow that to go on. So I wrote this book.
So would you say that it's a lot of mental more so than it is an actual thing?
It's a socio-economic problem.
Similar to India's?
Yes, similar to the pariah in India. And I think that it's totally wrong to cast out a certain group of citizens and individuals and say, oh, they're not up to scratch. That is so wrong. God
But
created.
it's embedded over there. It's not just something that...
Yeah, it's been there for centuries.
I think it's even part of their religion, I believe.
Yeah, probably.
It's part of religion and politics and culture.
Yeah.
And I don't think it should happen in Oruku, which is my ancestral homeland. That's why I wrote this. It took me 4 years to write this book. So I wrote about a woman who, despite being cast aside as somebody from the other side, she decided that she would make a change. She adopted all children who were not her own and helped them grow up, and she did what's called community farming and was able to feed other people's children. And when there was a war, the caste war, she was able to take all these kids into safety and refuge. It's a book about compassion, charity, philanthropy.
Well,
Good
you
works.
say this is fiction?
Yes.
It sounds like, is it based on someone, some episode you know?
It's based on this village called Oruku, my ancestral homeland.
Uh-huh.
And it's based on someone I know, and I will not give out the entire secret. And I decided that that particular area needs to be captured because what we see about Africa is basically most of the time negative. So here is a positive story coming out of West Africa. And I decided that as the owner of the African who moved to Scottsdale Productions, that this is the right kind of book and the right kind of niche that I wish to carve. So
What about your other book?
the other ones, this is the one called Avalanche of the Shackles. This is a continuation of this one. So once you've read this, you will really want to read about this. And this one is a continuation of that, how they transpired, how they survived, and how they moved up, and how the society changed through the efforts of one woman who was castigated as somebody in the other side, who is a caste. So caste system is bad because people from there do emerge. They go into transcendence and permanence and become someone bigger and better. So we cannot look down on any citizen or resident of any place. This is why I believe in multicultural diversity. This one is the Gods of American Icons. This is my own collection. I wrote a series of short stories. And in this, I talked about autism, the mental diagnosis of a child who had autism. They diagnosed him as someone who is mentally ill. But he went ahead and did great things, and the people who had abandoned him when his parents died turned around and sold all the wonderful cages that he built. They made millions out of his work, and they took off and left him alone. It's a very sad story. So I plan to do a sequel to this story, and the sequel is where he emerged out of it all and became someone greater, but not without some hurdles, because in everything in life there is always a struggle. But he persevered, and you cannot believe how I ended my sequel to this. And this also has other stories. The Grumpies is the one on autism, and then there's other ones about religion, and there's other ones about drugs and the things that Americans hold dear, such as their pets. Pets have become another big thing for Americans besides money. They love their pets. So the Gods of American Icons talks about all these different things that Americans hold dear. So this one is called Taking a Bath. This was my first book. You're not going to believe how old this book is. It took me 4.5 years to write this one. Taking a Bath talks about female genital mutilation. It's about the gender issue. It's about the hygiene. It's about this harmful traditional practice that takes place in certain parts of the world. Also, it exists in the United States because immigrants bring female circumcision to the United States and say, oh, it is our culture and we wish to continue to practice this. So it has been outlawed in so many different countries, such as Nigeria outlawed it May 10th of 2015. The Gambia in West Africa outlawed it as of November 2015. The United States outlawed it and did the legislation against that. But in some African countries, despite it being outlawed, there is no legislation to say that this is completely a crime. So it is still being practiced in little pocket neighborhoods and nooks and corners where there are traditional medicine healers who still circumcise girls. It is the fact that it's done to very young girls that makes it totally unacceptable. It should be outlawed completely. In fact, I am advocating that it ought to be taught in schools so that young girls will know to say no. Just as I am against child marriages, I believe that young girls should be taught to say no to child marriages, because in some countries, as soon as they're 9 years old, they're already betrothed to a man who's 40. And when they turn 13, they have to marry him whether they like it or not. Recently, there was a case in India where a girl was being forced to go marry an older man, but she had already fallen in love with a younger man of about her age. Her society and her community said, there's no way you're going to marry this one. You marry who we choose for you. So what did she do? She ran away. She eloped with her lover. While the entire community was looking for her, she and the lover were found dead somewhere. So either some foul play, they were killed, or they took their own lives because they didn't want to go. She did not want to go through marrying someone that was chosen for her. So just as child marriages exist and child labor exists, female genital mutilation still goes on, even in the United States. Because each time I mention it, people ask me, "Oh, is that thing that goes on in Africa?" No, it is here with us. Washington D.C., New York, New Jersey, Connecticut, here in Arizona.
Even the child marriages that are being arranged are here in some of the communities where that is their culture and that's what they do.
Yes, it still exists. So as crusaders, as activists, we need to stand up and say, no, we cannot. So help me in signing for signatures. Do you have any more questions?
How did you, why did you come to America, and how did that all come about?
Oh, that's a very, very long story. It's a very long story. A cultural exchange program was one to television production workshop in New York at 1855 Broadway in New York. I came into television workshop and decided that I would stay. First of all, I went back and went to London, England, graduated from College of Journalism, and then went to Nigeria, worked on television for 4.5 years, then decided that, hey, guess what? All the best stories are coming out of the United States. This is a great country that I'm going to live in. And I moved to Scottsdale. So I'm the African who moved to Scottsdale. Do you have a question?
How did you learn to speak English?
Oh, English was my first language.
Oh, okay.
Yes. English was my first language. Then I learned Igbo, then I learned Yoruba, and I learned Hausa, and then Arizona, of course, I had to learn Spanish, and I learned French while I was in elementary and high school. Yes.
Okay. You must be smart.
Well, 4 or 5 books there. Well spoken. Yeah, I would say she's pretty smart.